Sign language in action. A brief introduction to sign linguistics. General sign language linguistics. Many sign languages share many common characteristics. Similarly, Zambian Sign Language uses many of these common characteristics. This information is not specific only to Zambian Sign Language, but because it uses these characteristics, this information can help the learner to understand how sign languages work and the processes involved. Types of signs: logical, abstract, fingerspelled, cued. Sign languages use four distinct ways of creating signs. First, we have logical. Logical or iconic is where the sign is easy to understand, like for example, drink or swim. You can see, or a child could see clearly, the sign is referring to swimming. Or fight, because the hand shape and movement clearly portray the meaning. That's logical or iconic signs. Next you have abstract. This is where the sign has nothing related to the meaning. For example, in Zambian Sign Language with white, it's not clear why it means white. A person seeing the sign for the first time would not know what it means, that it means white. They may have to ask the meaning to understand, because the hand shape and movement have nothing related to the color white. Other example is danger. A person seeing this for the first time maybe wouldn't understand. That's abstract. Next, we have cued signs. There are many cued signs used in Zambian Sign Language. This is where a fingerspelled letter is combined with a movement to show meaning, like V used to show video, C to show Christian. Both combine a letter with movement to show meaning. Or using N, we sign new. Those are just some examples. Last, we have fingerspelled. This can be used where you don't know the sign or where there isn't one. It is used a lot for people's names, place names, for example, TOM, Tom, or ZAMBIA, Zambia. Maybe Tom has a sign name, but you don't know it. Zambia has the sign Zambia, but maybe a person doesn't know the sign yet, so fingerspells it. ZAMBIA. These are the four different ways signs are made to show meaning. Logical chronology, following natural time sequences. Sign languages usually follow natural time sequences. Logical chronology, which means sequences happen in line, the first, the second, the third, the fourth, which is different from spoken languages. For example, in English, you can say, me and a friend went to town after dinner. But in sign language, that looks like you are saying, me and a friend went to town and had dinner after we arrived there. In sign language, you might say, me and friend, dinner finished, together went town. Or another example, maybe in English you can say, Frank fell down the stairs after drinking too much chabuku. But in sign language, you might say, Frank drink chibuku too much, fell downstairs. Indexing, using fingers to set references. Sign languages use a lot of indexing, using fingers to keep information linked together so it is clear and easily understood. For example, maybe the government passes a new disability bill which covers discrimination in 4 distinct areas. Firstly, education, second, healthcare, third, employment, and fourth, everyday life. For example, a blind person wants to board a minibus, but the driver refuses to allow them board. That's discrimination. Under the fourth area, everyday life. Or with the first area, a deaf person wants to go to school and are accepted, but there is no sign language used in the school. That would be discrimination under the first area. So you can see, using the fingers helps keep the information clear and easily understood. This is indexing. Marking time with timelines, past tense, present tense, future tense, and fixed time periods. Many sign languages use timelines to mark and show time. The past, going from space behind through the side to the front of the body. The present by space just directly in front of the body, and the future marked by space going out front away from the body. For example, me before university, marking space to the side and the rear. You can see time is in the space marking the past. Now, university finished, mark space directly in front of the body for the now. I have finished with university for now. Maybe future, me back university, marking space going out front. Maybe I'll go back to university in the future. You can see the different timelines going from back to front and forward. There are other ways to show time. For example, you can have timelines with different segments. For example, you could be talking about a woman during pregnancy. We know there's 9 months, but there's also 3 trimesters, each of 3 months. Again, the line is used as a way of showing time. Another way to mark time is to use the sign for finished. For example, you eat, have you eaten? Me, eat, nod, finished, which means I have finished eating or I have eaten. Some other sign languages use other ways to mark time, but these shown here are used a lot. NMFs, non-manual features. Sign languages don't only portray meaning using the hands alone. There's information shown in the movement of the body, head, and facial expression. These are all used together to show meaning. These are called NMFs, non-manual features. For example, if you're talking about maths, you can say maths hard. Or you can sign maths hard, and you can see the signs show the same information, but with more movement and facial expression, you can see a big difference of effect. NMFs can also show positives and negatives. For example, NMFs can show me happy with a head nod, I'm happy. Or you can sign me happy, shaking your head, I'm not happy. It's the same sign, but the meaning is very different because although it's the same sign, the NMFs change the meaning. Placement, setting up signs in space to use as reference. Sign languages use placement to keep the information together and clear. For example, if you were talking about deaf people having problems with access to the government, you can set up placement to refer to different groups. You may have the government on your right side, so the next time you point to that space, we know it's the government. So you don't have to sign government again every time. We know that's the government. We may have deaf people in the left hand side, deaf people's families on the centre left forward, and maybe deaf campaign groups on the centre right forward, like for example Zambian deaf youth and women. Deaf people don't have direct access to government, but NGOs like ZDYW have. And they can campaign. So deaf people, points to the left with problems, go to the left centre forward, their families, who then explain the problems to point centre right forward to ZDYW, who then have meetings with government and explain the problems deaf people face. The government officials can look at the issues, maybe first civil servants. They can read the details and pass it on to Parliament for representatives there to look at the issues, discuss what they can do, and maybe decide to pass a new bill. So deaf people can achieve their rights. So you can see how placement can show meaning, and you don't have to repeatedly sign government, deaf people again and again. Just by pointing, you know what is being talked about. And placement is used a lot in sign language. The productive lexicon, being creative with sign language. Sign languages use the productive lexicon, which means maybe where there is no sign, but there is important information which needs to be shown. You can creatively use classifiers, placement, and other different ways to show information. So you're not using formal signs, but you're creating and making signs yourself. For example, if you're talking about lights and how they work, turning a switch turns them on and off, but how does that actually make them work? If you look inside, you find there's two copper plates which touch and release. If they are touching, the light goes on. If they are apart, the light goes off, because when they touch, they make a circuit for the power to flow through. When they are apart, the circuit is broken, the light stops. This is one example of using the productive lexicon. This could be used where you don't know the sign but are under pressure to show meaning. So you must find a way to show the information so you can be creative with signing. But it's important to remember that's not formal sign language, it's the productive lexicon. Then maybe next you can ask experienced deaf signers to find out what the formal signs are, or get guidance on the right way to sign the information. It's important not to get in the habit of just using the productive lexicon to make up your own signs and end up making your own kind of sign language. Don't do this. Deaf people have signs for many different things, so ask. Sometimes in the short term, you can use the productive lexicon, but always respect deaf people, respect their signs, and respect sign language. Role shift, switching between subjects using different body postures and stances. Sign languages use a lot of role shift, where you use body and head movement. Along with facial expression to show different characters in a narrative. For example, if you have three people in a courtroom, one person has had money stolen from him, another is accused of the theft, and a judge is residing over the case. The judge says, "Okay, so you are here because you say he stole your money?" "Yes, that's right, he stole my money." The defendant said, "I never stole any money, never." "Hold it. Why do you think it was him?" Plaintiff. "Because he was in the house the same time that the money went missing." The defendant says, "Yes, I was there, but I didn't steal any money, no." The judge. "Had you anybody else in the house at the same time?" The plaintiff says, "Yes, but I know he was the thief." The judge. "Why do you think he was the thief if there were other people in the house too?" The plaintiff. "Because people are always talking about him being a thief." The defendant. "No, I never steal, that's lies." So you can see the three different people interacting in the discussion by the changes in the body and the head movement. Classifiers, using the hands as objects to show meaning. Sign languages use classifiers to show meaning. This is the sign, classifiers. This is where the hand shape and movement are used to represent a person, thing, animal, object. For example, if we are talking about two people walking, the index fingers represent each person. Another example could be if you are talking about boats, you can have a boat drifting slowly on the waves, or you can show a fast boat skimming over the waves, or a boat with sails sailing through the water. All different kinds of boats shown using classifiers. You can use fingers to show legs, swimming, jumping, or you can use a fist as a ball, then someone heading the ball in to score a goal. These are just some examples. Some examples of classifiers, but there are many others used in sign languages. Sign languages use many different ways to show meaning, but this is just a short introduction to how sign languages work to help you start learning about sign language.